Hi guys, Ben again here. Today we're going to learn how to make a bird bottle feeder. This is designed to screw into 2-liter bottles or to wine bottles with threads on them. In this guide, you're going to learn how to use different alignment tools as well as learn how to use different things such as creating threads, isometric threads, and determining things such as pitch. So let's jump into this a little bit and we will see what we can do and learn with this. So this is what it's going to look like when it's finished, but this is not too hard of a guide. Just follow along with what I'm doing. And I'll kind of put the values of what I'm putting for each one. So here's our brand new one. This is a brand new work plane in this. We're going to start by dragging out the cylinder here. And the values that we're going to put for the cylinder are actually going to be 80, 80, and 10 on that. So when I say the numbers, it's always going to go X, which is this bottom one, Y, which is the top one, and then Z, which is this one right here. So let's go ahead and put those in there. So we got 80, 80, have 10 here. Perfect. So this right here is going to, we're actually going to be creating the basin, which is going to hold the seed that comes down on this one. One of the cool things that you can actually do with these is you can actually use the copy command so we don't have to keep repeating everything. So if I click here, I can either press Control C and Control V to make a copy and paste. The other way you can do it is if you don't want to use the shortcuts, or if you click what you want here, which is our base, and we can hit this button at the top, which is copy, and then one to the right, which is paste here. So now we have two copies of this, and what we're going to do for this one is there's a button called hole, and this is going to create a cavity for us so that our seed can sit in it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click hole there. And the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to change it to 75, 75. And this last one here, we're going to change it to 7 as the top one, so our Z is going to be 7. So this is actually what's going to create a cavity for this to sit in. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hold down our left mouse button and we're going to make a selection tool here. So we highlight them both. Now you can either press L on your keyboard or there's in the top right a button called align. So if you can press this, and we're going to pick our X, which is the bottom, our Y, and then for our Z, we're going to pick the very top one. And what this does is it's going to align it to the top. The next thing we're going to do, make sure you're still highlighted, is press this button. This is group or Control G. And from here, what you can see, this right here is our basin on it. So this is the first part. And so this is the base, and this is it's going to hold the seed when it falls down. So go ahead and drag in another group right here. The values we're going to use for this one are actually going to be 110, 110, and 3. So, so for our X down here, so click the bottom left here to highlight this. We're going to do 110, 110. Oops, wrong value, 110. Perfect. And then for the Z value, which is how thick and tall it's going to be, we're going to put this 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Excellent. So left click the new object you just made. Come up here to copy, then press paste. Go ahead and left click your new one. Turn it into a hole. Here we're going to change some values. So we're going to click here on the left. We're going to change this to 105 and 105. We're going to leave our thickness the same because we want it to be pierced through here. So highlight both. Press L or align button. Do an X and a Y alignment, and then you can press Control G or group. And what this does is this is going to make a nice little perch for it to sit on. But we're not quite done yet. We need to actually put a supporting connector so that it actually has something to touch our basin or the reservoir where the seed's going to sit. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to make some support beams that go across. So go ahead and drag in a cube for me, please. And I'm going to drag this off to the side until we're needed again. So for this one right here, we're going to change this one to the values of 109, 4, and our height here, if you click the Z, is going to be 3. What this is going to do is this is going to be a perch that's going to go across just like this. But we need 2 of these, so for one of them here, I'm going to press copy and paste. So I have 2 of these now. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to drag this one over to the basin, highlight them both, press L or align, and I'm going to do a X and a Y alignment in group. So that's one. This one's a little trickier here. We need to actually use the rotational tool here. So if you see here, I'm going to zoom in. It's this little rotational tool that's right here. If you click here, you can type in 90 degrees, 90. What it will do is it will turn it 90 degrees for us. Just like before, I'm going to drag this into place. Hold down my left mouse button and highlight both. I'm going to press L or align. And I'm going to align it on both axes. I got lucky on that one. That one was already aligned. Highlight both, group. Excellent. And if you look here, we now have a way for this to actually sit. So just like before, we're going to highlight both, press L or align, do an X and a Y, and that one's already done, and group. Just like that, we have about a third of our basin already made. Okay, we're getting close. So now we have the basin. This is where the seed's going to sit. This is where the birds are going to sit and eat out of it. But we need to have a hole for the actual bottle to fit down into so that it can screw into it. So let's drag another cylinder in here. For this one here, we're going to change this one to 34, 34, and our height is going to be 25. Perfect. And we're going to drag another one in. This time we're going to do a whole cylinder. You could either make a copy of this one or you could just drag it in since it's already made for us. This one's going to be 28, 28, and our height is going to be 30. Perfect. Just like before, we're going to highlight both of our cylinders here. Press L or align, and we're going to do an X and a Y. And because our hole is taller than the other solid cylinder, we don't have to worry about the Z. So press Control G or group. And what this does is this creates a nice area for this to sit on. But right now, if we were to just put this in here, there's no way for the actual birdseed to fall out. So we need to put some holes on there. So on the left, actually on the right side, there is a white one called a parabola. We're going to drag this in. And we're going to change these values to be 15, 15, 24. So left click on one of the corners, change it to 15, 15, and our height, which is always going to be the top one, is going to be 24. Go ahead and change this to a hole. I want you to press copy for me, and we're going to make 4 of these here. So I'm going to go paste, paste, paste. Now I have 4 of these. Now for this part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this roughly into shape here. I'm going to drag one here and drag one here. On the left side, you can see there's a cube that orients yourself. I'm going to press top here so I can look down on it. And I'm going to drag these roughly into shape, and those look like they're roughly into shape. I'm going to highlight everything that's here, press L or align, and align it here. And I'm going to highlight and group. And what this will do, you'll see, is there's now holes for this to actually fall out of. So I'm going to do the same thing, but we need to have it on the north and south side of this, the top and the bottom. So I'm going to align it here, drag it into place, highlight, align or L. And this time I'm going to do a Y alignment here. Perfect. I'm going to highlight and I'm going to press group. And what you'll see here is we now have a place for our birdseed to fall out of. So let's go ahead and we're going to put this together. You're probably seeing a theme here, so we're going to highlight, we're going to press align, we're going to do X and Y alignment to put it into the center. But it looks like it's grouped, but it's not, so make sure that when you do that you highlight and press group. Good. But we're almost done. So the last thing we need to do is we actually need to make a place for our threads. And this is kind of where it's kind of not hard to do, but it does take a little bit of work to do. But I've done that for you, so all you have to do is copy my values. First thing we need to do is pull this little purple cone in. This right here is going to act as a distributor, so whenever the birdseed falls out of the bottle, it will hit this cone and it will be distributed to all 4 ports for the seed to fall out of. Highlight everything, press align, X, Y, group. Good deal. All right, go ahead and pull me out a cylinder. And go ahead and I want you to search here. This says basic shapes that are here. There's a little hourglass that's right here. It says search for shapes. Type in the word thread. You're going to pull this one that's down. It says isometric thread. And pull that one in. Perfect. I want you to go ahead and click your isometric thread. And these are the settings that are going to work for most 2-liter bottles. If you live somewhere outside of America, this might not work for the same settings, but this will work for most standard United States threads for 2-liter bottles or wine bottles with threads. For the diameter, we're going to do a 31. For the pitch, which is how the threads, it's the angle that the threads are going down, we're going to do 3.18. For segments, we're going to put 32. For rotations, 5 is okay, so we'll leave that one alone. Tip scale, we'll leave that to 0. Tip segments, 2. And thread scale, we'll leave that as 1. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn this into a hole. So this can be the threads that our bottle actually eventually screws into. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click our orange cylinder. And we're going to change it to 34, 34, 15 on this. 34, 34, click the top one, and we're going to go 15. Perfect. Just like before, we're going to drag this in, highlight, align, middle, middle. And this one here, what we're going to do is we're actually going to align this one in the middle as well. Perfect. So 1, 2, 3. And we're going to press group. And what this does is, if you look at it, is we now have a place for our wine bottle or our soda bottle to actually screw into. One last thing we need to do is we're actually going to pick this one up. So if you look here, there's a little cone, and I'll zoom up on it and see it turns red. We need to click that cone. And what we need to do is we need to raise it up to 23. If you see in the bottom right, there's a one that's going up and it now says 23. Raise that up to 23 for me. And I want you to drag this over like this, highlight, align. And this time we're not going to do this side because this is the height here. We've already raised it to the exact height it needs to be to align to it. But we're going to do an X and a Y alignment, and we're going to go ahead and press group. Perfect. And look at that, you have a wine bottle bird feeder. So this is actually ready to be 3D printed. There's no supports that are going to be on this as well. All you have to do is print this with regular settings. Filaments such as PLA will work, or if you want to use ABS, it'll probably last a little bit longer. Your threads, when you print them, they have some little, we call them stringing, or they might have a little bit of overhang stringing on it. As long as you can get it mostly on there, if you take the bottle, you can pull that off with your fingers or tweezers. But it should even thread on otherwise. But it should be good to go. If you're ready to download this and bring it into the library, there's a button that says export in the top right. Press export. And then there's one that says STL format, so you'll click STL. And this right here is the file that you'll put onto a flash drive and bring it into the library to be printed. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at the library, and we'll see you again soon.